June 25th, 2024. Welcome to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined once again tonight by Matt Koon, who watched NXT 2 weeks ago, fell in love, and had to turn it on tonight, and then come here and talk about it with you all. Matt, how are you finding your adventures in NXT?
Man, I got to tell you, you search your whole life for something that hits you right in the heart. Hits you really at every level that you live. Your dopamine off the charts. And let me tell you, that is NXT. First of all, the acting is superb. Superb. Second of all, the music. The music, amazing. Third of all, of course, Booker T. And fourth of all, I get to see you and talk about, what one might argue is the greatest 2 hours of television of all time.
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of TV in the past week. I'm behind on Evil. I'm behind on Interview with the Vampire. I'm behind on Presumed Innocent. So for me, yes, this is the best 2 hours of TV I've watched all week.
Are those good shows? I haven't seen any of those shows.
I like them. I think Interview with the Vampire is a much more faithful adaptation of Anne Rice's book, which is very well done. You know, the Tom Cruise movie really left out a lot. I love Evil. Evil's crazy. And Presumed Innocent, we'll see. They're changing it up, though, from the movie we've all seen before and know the big twist. So it's holding my attention. And I've been watching a lot of documentaries. Matt, I was watching last night on Paramount Plus how music got free. And that was very interesting, talking about the Where scene and the early days of MP3 and Napster. And it was a 2-part documentary, but it was great.
I'm in. I'm down to watch it. I love documentaries, and I love TV, except NXT. I love all TV except NXT.
Well,
but
I think,
you folks watching, our great Wrestling Inc. family, do not be dissuaded. I watched it. I paid attention. We're going to talk to us, and we will interact, and we will tell you about the show, as well as the fact that I believe Wrestling Inc. has a post-show coming up for Double or Nothing. Is that correct?
Didn't All or Nothing happen?
Not Double or Nothing.
Ago?
What's the next show coming up?
Forbidden Door.
Forbidden Door. Jack Farmer, Flobo Boyce. They're going to be on the post show there. So make sure to check that out after you watch it.
Yes. So, hey, NXT puts Robert Stone on national television in a prominent role weekly.
All joking aside, Robbie is killing it in that role. He's great. Much like Ava, he received it on his own merit without any kind of help from family members at all. So, he earned the spot.
So, before we get started, what's going on in the news, Matt?
Oh, it's me. Unfortunately, Sika Anoa'i passed away. And I mean, most of the things we've seen about him are about how he's one of the founding members of what is now known as the Bloodline, or previously known as the Samoan Dynasty. I'm old. I know you can't tell by my hair, but I'm old. I saw the Samoans wrestle, and they were a great tag team. They were a monster heel tag team. They appeared bigger than life. They played those characters of what one might accurately describe as today racially insensitive savages, where headbutts could not hurt them. They were great wrestlers, managed by Captain Lou Albano, and it is sad to see anybody pass away, especially someone who represented our fine sport like he did.
Absolutely. And 79. Wow. Hell of a life.
That's a good run.
Yeah. And of course, he is Roman Reigns' father, who continues on that bloodline to this day.
Absolutely. What a great thing. One thing I've always wanted for my life is to just leave a legacy of things behind me that wouldn't have been here if I wasn't here. And man, with Roman Reigns, he has done that. If he loved wrestling as much as we think he did, that is Sika, then we know he must be proud of his legacy through his son.
Absolutely. He will be missed, and our thoughts are with his family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what else is going on?
Okay, so TNA star Hendry may be teasing appearance at upcoming WWE NXT live event. Of course, Joe Hendry. is getting a lot of steam now, mostly because of some clever entrances and some clever characterizations. And now he's got what all wrestlers really want, which is some viral love. He's got some momentum virally. So I would not be surprised to see him show up. Like, there was literal backlash against him being eliminated so early last week in the pay-per-view. And, well, there should be. You got to hit the hot hand.
Yeah. No, I mean, in fact, NXT pulled an amazing rating last week. So much hype about Joe before that battle royal. I think that, he very well could have played a part in that rating. It's amazing that Forbidden Door, the concept people love. For AEW, I feel like the New Japan crossover helped a bit, but who would have thunk that TNA would be, such a boost for NXT?
Well, excuse me. If history's any indication, it seems to me that TNA might want to tread carefully. It's not like WWE is known for being this generous organization, and it's not like they're creating these great connections and these collaborations for altruistic reasons. It's all to benefit a very large company, and it's not like they're sitting in the boardroom with WWE going, these TNA kids, they really deserve some love. Let's go ahead and share it with them. That's not really what's going on. What's going on is, how do we extend our brand, and how do we, really, how does TNA help WWE extend their brand? It's probably about creating relationships for the talent, so that when they do decide to leave TNA, which if you get a certain amount of notoriety, you might, then the relationships are established with the newer NXT brass.
Yeah, I mean, my worry about this, and I've speculated again, don't be surprised if it happens. This is me just pulling it out of nowhere, but I've been right before when I did that. I do think TKO is going to make, whether it's a portion or all of TNA, trying to acquire that, because you're right, they're not doing this just out of goodwill. And what I worry about, Matt, is when you have like Nick Nemeth, you have Ash by Elegance, you have these former WWE stars who I assume are making maybe a quarter of the same money in TNA, that WWE doesn't see this as a way to essentially buy back this talent at a bargain basement price, comparatively.
Are you telling me that a company that engaged in a bidding war for talent that they had no intention of holding more than 90 days would be capable of something so terrible and so underhanded as to buy out a company that had former talent so that talent could work for them for a fifth of the price? Shame on you, Glenn. Shame on you.
In this day and age, some might say, hey, what's good for the stockholders ultimately is what guides their decisions. But who knows? Who knows at this point? But yeah, they're not just doing this to make nice. I think once, sure, when Mickie James showed up in the Royal Rumble as a Knockouts champ, sure. When Jordynne Grace showed up in the Royal Rumble as a Knockouts champ, sure. But now it's kind of like, what I think TNA is soon going to say, like, what are we doing here? Are we just fooling around? Are you going to put a ring on this?
Well, they're desperate for the attention. TNA struggles to find a foothold.
Yeah.
Even, maybe a year ago when they were kind of looked like, with Deanna and Steve and all these great people over there, it looked like they were going to do something, change the name to TNA again. And then all of a sudden, same old TNA, you got drama behind the scenes, Scott D'Amore being let go, talent being upset about that. I would be surprised if all these things were not at least tangentially related.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What is going on with Gigi Dolan?
Well, Wrestling Inc., which reports the news and aggregates some great news, it was reporting that in the midst of a WWE NXT storyline with Ariana Grace, Gigi Dolan has reportedly been battling a knee injury. The storyline was later dropped, though, as Dolin stated that she was done with Grace and her makeover efforts on the May 7th episode of NXT. Dolin has not been seen on WWE television since then, and a recent Instagram post revealed her to be wearing a leg brace. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is a story like I like Gigi Dolan, but wrestlers get hurt. Yeah. That's what they do.
Matt, I know you're not a regular NXT watcher, but this was a My Fair Lady storyline where Ariana Grace was gonna make Gigi Dolan a proper lady.
I don't mind it. I like it.
It was fun. It was fun for what we got of it. I wish we gotten a payoff. Maybe we will when she returns.
You know, it's WWE, so maybe they will now, because that tends to be what they do now. Is they really don't drop storylines. They really kind of try to tie a bow in it, NXT or main roster.
Well, so tonight we'll talk about this. Have you been following everything that's going on with this Brooks Jensen storyline?
I guess. Like, I think you and I agreed last time I was here a couple weeks ago that it was death. It was terrible and no one cared. But this week was a little bit better. This week he got involved in in the main event. And like we said a couple weeks ago, no one really cared about it. I'm not sure if anybody really cares about it, but it actually led to some kind of like a little fun little segment towards the end of the show.
What I didn't like is apparently his fiance or wife or girlfriend on Twitter yesterday posted a video, or over the weekend, saying, "Hey, I haven't heard from him. If you see him, tell him to please reach out." I mean, don't Drake Maverick this to the point where I'm like, oh, this is now crossing a line.
Yeah, like we gotta, as fans, decide what's okay and what's not. Like, I had the thought about this whole fan jumping the barricade thing, which is what we're seeing, and we saw a bit of it last night on Monday Night Raw with Taylor Rotunda, Bo Dallas, using's too strong a word, but integrating the real life tragedy he had with his brother Bray Wyatt dying into the storyline. So as fans, we need to decide what's comfortable and where we draw the line. I can't say that. I know one thing that's, made me uncomfortable lately is Christian talking about Nick Wayne's dad, because Nick Wayne's so young.
Yeah.
Nick Wayne is so young and it's his dad, but I guess the rule is if they're okay with it, we should be okay with it. But I don't know. That's a moral relativity thing that we should all just make up our own minds about.
Yeah. One would argue, especially in developmental, let alone on the main roster in such a cutthroat environment where you're competing for airtime, are you at a disadvantage? Will you not be retaliated, but will you maybe not be given that push, that airtime, if you raise your hand and say, actually, no, this really makes me uncomfortable?
Retaliation is probably not the right word, but it will happen. Like, Sami Zayn goes to NXT and is told, hey, guess what? Your mask is coming off.
Yeah.
Now, if Sami Zayn goes, no, I want to keep my mask, that's all there is to it, things might be different, probably would be different. I think with NXT, it's pretty much known. You sign here, it's our way or the highway. We're going to give you a really crappy name. Booker T is going to sleep through your match, and you're going to have terrible music.
Do we know that? I'm waiting for the Fight Forever book that's coming out soon. I forget the author's name. I apologize. But the book chronicling the history of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Do we know that was an NXT call telling him that?
It was on. He talked about it on that Breaking Ground show. He was talking to some other younger wrestlers coming in.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the lessons that he learned and what he had to do to be part of this system, and that he was actually glad he did it. He started out, being a little doubtful. But for me, who did not know boo about El Generico, even though I watched wrestling forever, I was a big Sami Zayn guy. So for me, it worked Sami big time. And it was a company call.
Paid money to see him do stand-up comedy. By the way, he's doing it again in Toronto in 2 weeks, Money in the Bank weekend.
Now, his appearance on Talk is Jericho, to me, is one of the funniest appearances of all time. He talks about meeting Axl Rose. Yeah. And, he tells a story, Sami Zayn does, about being at a meet and greet with Axl Rose and walking up and just kind of like freaking out and being like, hey, Axl, how the hell you doing? And like gives him a huge high five. And Axl's like, the room's closed, go, like and then he was dancing on stage. He was on the side of the stage. He's dancing on the stage so into it that he kind of wandered on the stage. And is he stand-up comic funny, or is he just tell a story funny?
He did some. I did a review of this. It's online, but he milked like the same opening joke like 5 times, because he did the joke. Then he said he ran the joke by this person. He ran the joke. He repeats it. But you know what? It worked. It just kind of worked in its own weird way.
I love comedy and I love Sami Zayn, so maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk tonight about NXT. We opened with a #1 contenders match for those tag team championships with Chase U versus the OC versus Edgerson, Nofe and Malik Blade versus New Catch Republic versus Legado del Fantasma. Tag team turmoil for the #1 contenders in the cold open tonight, which should have telegraphed that something was going to happen, that it was going down tonight on NXT, is Ava was in the parking lot with a team of referees saying, okay, everybody, we have to be on a high alert. I guess, Samoa Joe said 5 years ago, get better security. And Ava has finally answered the call, although it was not rent-a-cops, it was not armed guards, it was referees that she had on high alert tonight.
Now, Glenn, I understand that you are a fan of 90210. You watched it back in the day.
Ooh, yeah, well, I made it through like 7 seasons of the TV.
That's about right. So that's about where it is. But all the way to Ray Pruitt. And,
I was just going to say, I was just going to say, damn you, Ray Pruitt.
Yeah.
His music career suffered because he pushed Donna down the stairs.
When they did that quarters angle in AEW, I said they got to get rid of it now because they're going to turn Juice Robinson into Ray Pruitt. Like it's per example. But the reason I'm right though, and they dropped it. It's just stupid. So the reason I bring that up, one might watch this. What are they talking about? It's very applicable, folks. So Tori Spelling, who was on the show,
yes,
she always said, and who's to doubt this believable story, that she auditioned for 90210 without her dad, Aaron Spelling, knowing. You see where I'm going. So my understanding is that Ava actually auditioned for the role of general manager. They did not know she was The Rock's daughter. It was completely on merit. And we see that, her electric personality, her amazing magnetism. I think Nick Aldis better watch out because she's got it. She's got it. IT. It's contagious. It's hereditary.
I mean, Tori Spelling did okay on 90210.
She was terrible. Like, she was awful. She was like, what was the thing? She was with the Brian Austin Green guy.
Yes.
And Donna's gimmick, her gimmick was...
Her gimmick. Yeah,
I watched too much wrestling. I was going to say her gimmick was her virginity. That's what I was going to say. That sentence was about to come out of my mouth. But, like, if I was Brian Austin Green, I would have been like, nah, I'm good. Cool. It's fine. I'll wait. It's fine. Because that was an eyesore right there.
Wrestling's had variations of that gimmick, but I think we bring it back. But we bring it back Dragnet style, like the Virgin Connie Swale.
That's not bad. Dragnet was a great show.
Well, the movie specifically.
Oh my, Connie Swale, look at you.
Yeah.
Pagan, people against goodness and normalcy. Nobody knows what we're talking about. Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd, to this day, when they're doing that little dance.
City of Crime.
And then the drugs fall out of their pocket.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. See, folks out there, I'm very sorry. See, Glenn and I have the same references because back when we came up, you only watch like 3 movies or 3 channels at the same time. And if you watch the movie that was on, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you might not see it again for years. So you imprinted it on your skull, or you had HBO, in which case you saw the same 5 movies every day.
Yeah, and if you watched MTV that summer, the City of Crime video was everywhere.
You have it good now, folks. That's our point.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Tom Hanks, his rap career is what gave us Chet Hayes. So.
Tom Hanks is that's right. His son is a rapper. His son is, and he talks in Ebonics as well, which is very, very confusing to me.
I think Tom Hanks was the more talented rapper of the family, and I'm just basing that off City of Crime.
When I was a child, I watched the movie Splash with Tom Hanks.
Yes, love them.
And that is how I learned how to juggle. Because in the first scene, he walks in the grocery store and he goes, Mr. Mango on my shoulder, and he does it. And I was like 8 or something, and I literally watched in slow motion to figure out how to juggle from watching Tom Hanks.
Madison was not a name that girls were given until that movie.
It was not, and she was named after a street.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Was.
So, Chase U versus the OC versus Cedar Snowfin and Malik Blade versus the New Catch Republic versus Legado del Fantasma to determine the new #1 contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Matt, what did you think of this match?
I'll be serious for a little bit, is that it's hard to get into like this a match with stakes with guys who have clearly been demoted from the main roster, especially the New Catch Republic, where they had a video, they had a week to week vignettes, they had a angle, and then they wrestled in Sydney, and then all of a sudden this ain't working, you're going back. And also Legado de Fantasma, those two guys are very good wrestlers and very underrated. And the Good Brothers seem to be happy there, but
yeah.
it's hard to get into it with some mistakes when you're like, these aren't young up and comers, these are cast-offs, which is what WWE is telling us, really.
I mean, I think Gallows and Anderson could have a good time anywhere doing anything.
They can.
Yeah. Now you don't know this about Legado del Fantasma because you don't watch NXT, but for a short while, Matt, there were Umberto and Angel. There were vignettes where they were having dreams about their grandfather, and they woke up and they had like this bloodied wolf scar on their chest. So we determined on this very podcast that they were werewolves, and that's what it was telling us, and we started calling them Los Lobos Locos.
Yeah, I get it, and that is objectively hilarious, but I think they're both very good, especially Hector. Hector's a great wrestler, great personality, and it just, they just need to fix some stuff because Vince, under Vince, they had these guys feuding. They had, who was it, the other one, Humberto? Or no, it was Hector, who literally asked his fiance to marry him on NXT TV, and a month later, he's playing a Lothario. They didn't really do these guys right, and I like them on SmackDown. They belong up there, but it was a fine match, and any match where there's two guys coming in every few minutes, I'm in.
Yeah, it was fun, and I think Chase U getting the win is nice. They're bouncing back after that gambling scandal, and Andre Chase almost bankrupting the university before JC Jane bailed them out, selling the women of Chase U calendar, and then JC and Thea Hale had a falling out, and then they don't want to let Ridge Holland in, but now Chase U is back, baby.
I'm so glad I don't watch this program. But also, let me ask you this, Chase. I don't talk bad about wrestlers because I want them all to be successful, but what do you see his future being on the main roster? Because, looking at him, he's not that much bigger than Pete Dunne, they cover him up for a reason usually, and so he's got, I don't know, like, is he being brought up as an announcer? Is he being brought up? He doesn't seem like someone who would, like he's going to look like a cruiserweight up there. Like, do you see him being someone who's able to make an impact main roster?
Well, I mean, who else wrestles in a sweater? So I think that right there, makes
Dutch Mantel.
Yes. I do think that with Drew Gulak gone, Chad Gable now is the only one doing that sort of coach, mentor persona. And I do think that Andre Chase, I think we talked about this before, his original gimmick, it was much like Sam Kinison in Back to School. He would just yell at people and it was really funny. But I do think, I mean, he can wrestle. Like, I do think he can shine, but I see his future more as a manager, personally.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking this poor guy's taking all these bumps. He ain't gonna take bump one up there.
Yeah, which is great, right? I mean,
I would agree.
Sign me to a bumpless contract.
Yeah,
yeah, I'd be all.
I have one now with WrestlingInc.com.
There you go. But they just want you to do one flatback just to prove you can, just in case,
You ever read Brian Gewirt's book?
No, I've been meaning to.
He takes a flat back just to show everybody that he can do it, that he can take a bump, and it hurt. He said, but what a weird culture wrestling is, and what other job are they going to just make you do the hardest thing to show that you belong,
Yeah, it's very strange. Well, backstage, so Chase U won that. They're going on to Heatwave to face Fraxium. Nathan Frazier and Axiom are tag team champs. Then we had Roxanne Perez confront Carmen Petrovich backstage and setting up things for later in the evening. We heard from Ethan Page, and that was interesting. Sean Spears coming out and them getting into it. I like Sean kind of throwing that shade about him following his lead.
Yeah. I like Sean a lot. I like Sean personally. I like him professionally. I'm not sure how much, you know, how much cachet that has. We left AEW. Everybody knows that they weren't like, headlining or whatever. It's not like, I think it's more important for them to develop their own personalities on NXT than it is to kind of go off of this almost non-existent AEW run. Sean, of course, had those first couple years, but when you're off TV 95% of the time, it's not like this big own, that like, hey, we got the AEW guys,
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, but it's interesting for Sean that Sean was with the company. I think he was released, right?
They didn't re-sign him.
That's right. Went to AEW, and then that was up. I mean, he was like first generation AEW. That was up, and then back to NXT, which is a very interesting trajectory.
Yeah, I was there. Double or Nothing, the first one, in the Starcast, the back room, and when with Cody, Sean walks in, and everybody was just so happy with Sean, and and then I got to know Sean a little better a couple years later when he did the FTR show, but live show. But man, you just think this guy. I still don't think this is the right character for him. This is a good looking dude. Okay,
yeah,
he's like 6'2", 6'3", and I never liked the dark, smoldering Sean Spears. I think he's a super nice guy. So it's like, he's playing a character that may not be him. It doesn't ring true for me. Although, he is a great wrestler. You ask any wrestler who they want to be in the ring with, they'll say Sean Spears.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting, but I like that they're taking him seriously in NXT. It's going to be kind of hilarious though when that Cody promo comes true and he literally is a player coach in NXT.
I think Cody is going to get that kind of pull, that stroke. So he's going to be able to bring his friends in to bigger positions.
Yeah.
And it should be. That's the way it should be. Like I joke about Ava, but damn it, if I'm The Rock and they're going to give me $30 million and my daughter's languishing in this really terrible gimmick, I'm going to hook her up too. That's just the way life works, folks.
I mean, Schism was fun. I mean, Joe Gacy now has moved on to the new Wyatt family, which is in the cult world, that's failing upward.
Dude, in the cult world, that is a promotion like you won't believe, Yes. That's like, I can't make any kind of joke about that because whatever it is will get me canceled, but just use your imagination.
Yes. Let's talk about, so that set up.
That's like going from Jonestown
yeah,
to getting a pair of Nike sneakers on a bunk bed.
To having your own line of Jordans.
Having your own line of Jordans. You and 20 of your friends waiting for the mothership to bring you up. Yeah. You think, I mean, honestly though, they died happy. Like they thought it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like in 1 second, they just realized they had the truth. They're like, oh boy, this was a terrible idea.
Moving on. So Trick Williams came out. They attacked Trick Williams. Javon Evans was out there. This set up everything was going to happen later. What we told you was going to happen last week ended up happening tonight. We're going to get into it. Wes Lee took on Joe Coffey with Gallus out around the ring. Wes Lee won this match, very good, but then he had a nice confrontation with Oba Femi after, ahead of their North American title match. So Oba granted Wes that title match for Heatwave, and the condition is he can never challenge for the title again should he lose. Where have we seen that before?
Well, it hasn't worked out in the past very well, has it?
No.
With Cody, the by and large, the white wrestlers on NXT are boring, and all of these, any person of color, male wrestlers, they're all fantastic. Like Wes Lee is fantastic, and Oba Femi is fantastic, and Trick Williams is fantastic. It's a really great thing to show that in NXT, at least it seems like people are being completely judged on how good they are and their merit. I joked about Ava, but it's really cool to see these people, who are not being held back or not for the most part, being put in gimmicks that are insulting and that have really, really crossed over. Trick Williams, Wes Lee, these guys pop, Obafemi, these guys pop off the screen and are the ones that I see having the biggest future.
Well, and then Tony D'Angelo wrestled Nathan Frazier for the NXT Heritage Cup.
Tony D'Angelo makes me want to just die. Like, it is such like, if you make the mistake of signing with NXT and say you're from Alaska, just get ready to get a harpoon. You're gonna get a harpoon and like whale blubber, and that's gonna be your character. You know, just if wherever you say, oh, I was born in Australia, they're like, well, guess what? You're saying Barbie a lot, and your name is Gator Smith.
Gator Smith is a solid wrestling name.
It's actually not bad.
Yeah. Gator Smith is actually great.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Speaking of NXT names, I did this, so I just want everybody to share with me my joy in this. Is that NXT has ridiculous names, right? So I asked ChatGPT. I asked, what are good professional wrestling names? If you were in a developmental program of the largest wrestling company in the world. So they gave a nice little lecture about the names typically blend strong, evocative words with a sense of power, mystique, fitting the larger life persona of professional wrestling. You ready to hear a couple of these from ChatGPT? And you're going to let me know whether they would fit in NXT.
Okay.
Dominic Steele.
It's good, a little generic, but it's not bad.
Raven Fury.
Kind of like that.
Phoenix Dawn.
Oh, it's a little too on the nose.
Scarlet Rain.
Okay.
Electra Storm. You don't like any of these, huh?
Well, Scarlet Rain is good if it's scarlet because it's blood. But see, the problem is we have Ava Rain, we have Electra Lopez. Problem is some of these are a little too, God, AI did something derivative, Matt.
Yeah, I'll give you another one here. Luna Nova.
Okay.
I like that one. And then Kai Justice. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's good.
Kai Justice, because you got like the kind of ethnic first name and then like Justice,
But again, this is why AI will not replace creative minds, because Gator Smith, Matt, I think Gator Smith is the winner.
Can't be done. Can't be replaced. You and I talked about the AI music last time, right?
Oh, yeah, we talked off the air. We talked about that.
I've been really kind of obsessing about it, talking about it with people, but it looks like that website you showed me is getting sued.
Oh, yeah. So is Suno, which is the other one. So Udio and Suno, for those who don't know.
Absolutely wide-scale plagiarism,
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Blatant.
Yeah.
And I was watching that How Music Got Free documentary about downloading music and the trajectory where the the music industry is like, oh, no. This is going to cost us a lot of money because we get to be the ones to profit, disproportionately to what the artists are making. And now people are taking away our ability to do that. They were behind the times. Ultimately, they learned the lesson too late that people wanted more convenient music. If CD prices hadn't shot up to like $20 in the year 2000, if they lowered CD prices to, $5 for emerging artists, $10 for established acts, because these things cost 50 cents to make, maybe downloading wouldn't have been as appealing. But what's funny about Udio and Suno getting sued is it's not. They know they can't stop this. In fact, their biggest nightmare, Matt, is that those sites shut down and just say, we're going to open source our software, and then everyone can run it on their own computer and do it. So what the labels are going to do instead is say, you're going to settle with us by giving us a generous license fee and percentage ownership of anything that's created with this. We're going to get a little kickback.
If you think streaming gives artists pennies on the penny, wait till you see what they get out of AI licensing,
Yeah, it's gonna be insane. But again, it's gonna be, something's better than nothing. But yeah, Udio and Suno are insane tools that it's impressive, but it's also terrifying.
I did ask ChatGPT also, what are the best commentary lines by Booker T in the history of his announcing. Okay. And it said no and crashed.
Anything jump out at you tonight that Booker...
Dude, it's weird. I was going to talk about Booker like I did last week, and I was going to talk about Def Rebel, right?
Okay.
And, but dude, I literally somehow just zoned it all out. Like I didn't hear Booker at all. I didn't hear the music at all. I don't remember a song tonight. I think my brain's filter is optimal at this point.
You got like canceling headphones just for tuning. Now, I do think
it didn't work great for me when I was married, but it's working really good for me now. Yeah.
I do think because again, it built off the backs of every song ever recorded and having a masterful knowledge of what makes a good song. I do think AI in 3 minutes could spit out something better than your average Def Rebel theme.
I would, all joking aside, absolutely. Because Def Rebels try to make generic music. They're trying to go towards the middle. And if you're trying to go towards the middle, AI is going to beat you to it. But if you're trying to be original, you got a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gator Smith.
Gator Smith.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's the crazy thing. I keep telling people this. There's already music out there, commercially available, probably on the charts, that was generated or is in large part AI, and they just didn't disclose it. We don't know it yet.
Yeah, I've told the kids, man. I've told, I've music camps. I did, 11 hours a day with my music camp.
Yeah.
And I tell the kids, the robots are coming. The robots are here. Get ready. Here's what, I've thought about a lot. I think that I think compositionally is where the humans will come into play. Is compositionally more than creating music. And it's possible 50 years from now, unfortunately, we're not going to have to learn how to play instruments, know? Because right now, we're like 2 minutes away from me going, hey, this song needs a bridge. And you just put it in the computer and they're like,
oh yeah, it can do that. You can upload your song and say, now bridge. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Okay.
So bridging to the next part of NXT.
Yes. Tony D'Angelo retained the Heritage Cup, where now, Matt, I would explain the rules of the Heritage Cup match to you. I have seen a dozen of them. I still don't understand the rules of a Heritage Cup match. I think the rounds go for 2 minutes and there's a point if there's a pinfall at the end of each round. And then if there's a tie, the winner retains. But Tony D'Angelo got 2 points to Nathan Frazier's 1.
I have not cared less about anything since the local gym sent me a coupon. But I guess it's cool. Like you have stakes, and they seem to really be consistent about pushing this thing. Like it seems like they do it every week, and it's a very big part of their programming. I don't get it. I don't care about it. I hate Tony D'Angelo's character. It's just like, it is like I said, like they are so geared towards these ethnic characters, if you told Shawn Michaels that, hey, guess what? There is a personality beyond the ethnicity of someone, he'd probably be like, I don't understand what you mean, man. What do you mean? Because he sees an Italian, he's like, give him spaghetti. That's it.
Well, see, here's what I like about Tony D'Angelo. I'm a big fan of the movie Betsy's Wedding, specifically Anthony LaPaglia's character. And Anthony LaPaglia, Australian, playing an Italian mobster, but he was charming and delightful. And
LaPaglia,
Anthony
and he's
LaPaglia.
Australian.
Yes, he's Australia. But did a great accent. It was, this is what rose him to stardom, was his breakout role in Betsy's Wedding. But additionally, I've seen clips of Tony and Tina's Wedding, the interactive off-Broadway show, which some might argue a little over the top. So when I first saw Tony D'Angelo, I was like, oh, I know what they're going for with this. And it charmed me, Matt.
I guess, it's just like, he reminds me of that Seinfeld episode when he's like, the Italian guys are like, I love that Edward Scissorhands. They make me cry, That's what Tony D'Angelo reminds me of.
I know we can't get Dom DeLuise as his grandfather, but I've argued we should get Peter DeLuise from 21 Jump Street fame as Tony D'Angelo's father, because the resemblance is there.
I wonder what he looks like now. I wonder if he's like dommed out,
No, he was in the 21 Jump Street movie with spoiler, Johnny Depp for that cameo. He was pretty good 10 years ago.
Pitch. Here's my pitch.
Yeah.
He debuts as Captain Chaos.
There you go.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Cannonball Run, which, by the way, you can't find anywhere.
Probably for a good reason. Speaking of like some things that maybe didn't age so well.
Yeah, like a lot of jokes that Sammy Davis Jr. is like, oh, come on, man. That's not cool.
Yeah. Roxanne Perez tonight took on Carmen Petrovic. Carmen Petrovic has a sword, and she's really talented with the martial arts. I would be thrilled just to master one martial art. She has mastered many, so much so they've given her a sword as an award for her prowess.
I guess it was an okay match. They're really trying. They're really trying to make all these women very different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, making them all very similar. They wear similar style outfits, similar style cadences of speaking, similar style promos. But, they give them different colors of outfits and different colors of hair and different backstories. So it is sometimes hard for me to tell the difference. I'm going to assume that Carmen Petrovich is Russian. Is that?
Well, Canadian, but her familial background, that's a good question.
Maybe she's related to Drazen Petrovic.
Oh, I know what this is. Bosnian.
Yeah, that's Drazen Petrovic was a player for the Sacramento Kings who was Bosnian and was good friends with Vlade Divac, even though he was Yugoslavian. And it's a big story. So Petrovic is definitely taken from that basketball player for sure.
She, I think, has been getting a lot of exposure on NXT. They clearly like her. I think she has a very bright future. She's just not, she's gotten some wins, but she's not getting the big wins. But, it's good she went up against Roxy tonight. I think Lola Vice showed up after. Roxanne versus Lola is going to be great. And I like that Lola Vice stole the championship. I thought that was a lot of fun tonight and then took Roxanne out.
I used to like stolen belt angles. That's kind of cool, when it's done well, it works out, I remember once, I think Arn Anderson just stole Dusty's belt and just kept it. He became the champion, so maybe that can happen too.
I like how Lola Vice seems A-level championship. A-level championship material. I think she's really good. I like the flourishes she's done. And Matt, character-wise, when she was in Bellator doing MMA fights, she was doing the same hip shaking, same moves. This is very much who she is. And I think this is another example of a wrestler where they're actually probably toning down their personality rather than cranking it up.
They seem to be piling up more female talent than I've ever seen in a wrestling company. It's
female roster.
It's the week that we watched 2 weeks ago, was there 5 female matches? 4? There was a lot. So I'm for it. And I just would like to see more differentiation for someone like me who doesn't watch very much, or the first time viewer. If you're the first time viewer, you're not going to want to go, who's this girl? Who's that girl? Who's this girl? It's a little Dynamite, a little AEW, that they throw so many characters at the screen sometimes.
They used to be better. So back when the women's roster was had fewer members, you literally could look at the NXT roster, SmackDown roster, and the Raw roster, and it's they almost had it divided between hair color, presentation of gear. It was very toyetic in the sense that you could just look at someone and immediately know who they are. Right now, the problem NXT has, because they are in a bit of a rebuilding phase, Thea Hale from Chase U, you've got her, and then you've got Brynley Reese, who we saw with Inoue and Blade backstage. She hangs out with them, and you've got Carly Bright. They've all kind of got variations on the blondish, hyper, super positive wrestler. They're unique in their own way, but for a casual viewer, I could see where it's kind of okay, if I said I like the bright, blonde, energetic girl, which one are you talking about?
Well, and that is incumbent upon the wrestler as well. When you have a wrestler who knows how to pop through the screen, Tiffany Stratton would be an example of that. I'm not confusing Tiffany Stratton with anybody. And in NXT, Sol Ruka, blonde, energetic, gymnastic. There's quite a few of them in there, but I remember Sol Ruka because she is unique and she seems genuine.
Yeah, spiral perm. It's that simple.
I didn't notice, but I just, I think she's just interesting and different,
She's cool. She's super cool. And if I were Thea Hale, I would be a little irked at Brynley Reese and Carly Bright, because Thea Hale should be wait, that was my thing, but we'll see. I think that Roxanne winning makes sense. Lola Vice stealing the belt was great. This is going to be a good title match. I'd like to see Lola Vice win. I think Roxanne Perez has gotten better. Look, I don't know if you know the full history. You know, she went to Booker's wrestling school.
I'm
And
sure the school's good. You know,
yeah,
I've seen a few wrestlers from there.
Roxanne got the championship the first time after Mandy Rose had to leave the company immediately due to controversy over her fan creator supported. It wasn't OnlyFans, but it was like OnlyFans.
What a terrible financial move that was for Mandy. She got fired and made millions of dollars.
Yeah, I know. God, just kicking herself. But so Roxanne had the championship, but she was very bright-eyed, the prodigy, happy, and she lost it relatively quickly thereafter. So this darker turn, this heel character, I think has been working better, but I think Lola Vice has a major it factor.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not like super into it yet, I like Roxanne Perez and I like Sol Ruka, but they're going to be good. It's going to be fine because if you look at the future of WWE female wrestlers, like they had that shot. Where was it? It was outside the ring. There was like 4 of them sitting there. I think it was the Rumble, right? It was like Tiffany Stratton, Bianca Belair. They were all young. And you're just like, well, there's the future of the division. So these ladies are going to have to wait their turn because the main roster has got a lot of good young talent in there too.
Yeah, it's super stacked right now. So we had backstage, the OC beat up Nima and Lucian Price from OTM. And then Michin showed up and started beating up Jada Parker, setting up a street fight next week with Michin and Jada Parker, which I love that Mia Yim is taken so seriously in NXT as opposed to the main roster.
Well, she's definitely, really working hard there in NXT.
Yeah.
Like it's almost a different character, so much so that you're seeing her doing some stuff on the main roster now too. I saw her on SmackDown doing some stuff. So I think WWE for some reason believes in her a little bit more.
Yeah, I hope so. I thought that this was interesting. Damon Kemp taking on Tavion Heights. The deal was if Tavion won, he's in the no quarter catch crew. There's been a vacancy since Drew Gulak did not have his contract renewed. I like that Damon Kemp did a pop in his shoulder back into place spot because I have to admit, as a child, I thought at multiple times in my adulthood, I would have to slam my shoulder against like a wall just to pop it back in.
Like Martin Riggs.
Yes, because we saw that we were like, that's normal. That's part of the adult experience.
That was kind of a cool match. These guys, I think that's the right idea. When you have a collegiate or amateur wrestler, Olympic wrestler, one of these guys is, it's funny, it's Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. You got an Olympian versus a Minnesota NCAA champion,
Yeah.
So very similar to that. But I don't think you can make amateur wrestler the gimmick anymore. I think we saw with Gable that didn't work at all. If you're going to do it, you better be Brock Lesnar. You better be Kurt Angle, and it's works so much better when it's secondary to what you look like, which in these cases, these two guys have different kind of looks where they don't look like Olympians or amateur wrestlers, but then you find out they are, and you're like, oh, well, this is badass. Someone take him seriously.
Yeah. No quarter catch crew is the most AEW faction in NXT.
Yeah. I think I saw Nick Camarado. By the way, there's 2 tag teams with the word catch in it.
I know. They're trying to make catch happen.
You know what I think they should do? Have a tag team with Tori Wilson, right? Okay. And Terry Taylor. And you call it Chicken Cacciatore.
It could happen.
I'm going to leave now. Sorry. That was
it's okay.
I'm a dad.
Okay.
That's a dad
okay.
joke.
Okay. It's okay. You're forgiven. I've made worse jokes on this very podcast. I think this match was all right. It's nice to see Charlie Dempsey doing something now that his dad's in the company. Is that a Nepo thing? Maybe that was reverse Nepo because Charlie got signed around the time Regal left, and then Regal comes back because Charlie's there.
I can't comment, because I worked with Regal at the time.
True. Oh yeah, that's right. No, it's okay. I don't
Regal never said anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he never said anything about it. But when you look at the timing of things, you know, it's like some people said that maybe, you know, Regal was still in touch with Triple H because they're really good friends. And maybe one thing followed the other. But definitely as soon as Charlie got signed, Regal was looking to go back. And then he sent us an email that said, hey, I'm starting the podcast.
So all I'm saying is Regal is a reverse Nepo baby. He's a Nepo daddy.
Yeah, I think so. But you know what, man? Regal did not fit in over there at AEW. He belongs in WWE, and he did his best. And you could, you know, he never said anything on that podcast of any note except, you know, history stuff. But you could kind of tell that he was like, this is a job. This is my job. This is what I do. It is my job.
So Sol Ruka took on Ariana Grace in a number one contenders match for the Women's North American Championship.
Best match of the show.
I was gonna say this was my favorite match of the show. I think Ariana Grace, she's doing very over the top character work.
These names,
mixed NXT.
It's like an Ariana Grande. Like, she looks a little bit like Ariana Grande, so we're gonna call him Ariana Grace. There you go.
That's how it works. You know, WWE's done that a lot. They take a famous person's name and then just tweak it slightly.
Like Dolph Ziggler.
Yes, or Lex Luger.
Yeah, because it's like what's the guy's name? Zig Ziglar, the you know, the positive dude or whatever. You know, and
was that what they were thinking originally?
I think it might have been a combination of that and like Dirk Diggler from Boogie Nights.
Yeah, probably that. That makes sense given his early character.
Which is a vastly underrated movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's on cable all the time. Love
it. Can't watch it. It's the best casting job of any director.
That's very good.
Of any casting director of all time.
Yes. So Sol Ruka and Ariana Grace in this number one contenders match. I mean, look, we knew Sol Ruka was winning this, but what do you think of Sol in that finisher?
Dude, that is, am I allowed to say ballsy? I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Because she totally biffed it before. Mm-hmm. Like, she messed up, and she's so young and so new. I'm watching like, uh-oh, what's going to happen here? What's she going to do?
She did three of them in the ladder match in Vegas.
But the fact that she knew how to stall that time.
Yeah.
She knew the moves to do to, like, she had either intuitively or had been taught, you know, hey, if you mess up, here's how you redo the spot or whatever. Mm. I've seen the spot before. It's amazing. I also am kind of sure she like slipped off the second rope when she was doing a springboard, and she springboard off the bottom rope, which was very unusual. Even the announcer said, I think she was trying for the second rope, and she did a springboard off the middle of the first rope earlier in that match. That woman's got some confidence, man. Like, because if you slip off, I've seen people just decide, hey, I'm not going to do that spot now. But the pressure was on. She knew that's the finisher. She got to do it. What a crazy, dangerous, stupid move that is. And I'll watch it all day long.
Yeah, she's amazing. I think she's great.
It's not the most believable of moves, but it is good. You know, like the bodies won't move. Like they're not going to tumble in that fashion, but it's still like she's impressive, dude. Like if I was going to say Vince, man, I'm old. If I was Triple H and I'm watching NXT, I'd be like, that's the next one. Trick Williams and her. Bring them on up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's winning that belt off Kalani Jordan at Heatwave.
She's got a little, what's Undertaker's wife's name?
Michelle McCool.
She's got a little bit of that vibe. This kind of long but athletic blonde who can do some unusual, will surprise you in the ring.
Yeah, she's great. I think that's going to be a standout match at Heatwave, and I think she's going to get that win. Then the main event tonight was Trick Williams versus Shawn Spears. And this is where Brooks Jensen, finally the payoff of the cold open, Brooks Jensen was rushing the commentary desk, rushing the ring, throwing stuff around, restrained, taken out of there. But that threw Trick off enough that Shawn Spears got a win. And good way to sell that. The Trick was distracted.
Shawn Spears he's there, to make everything work in the ring really well.
Yeah.
And he does. And he also serves the purpose is if you need someone in that headline match, he's credible. He's an NXT legend. Jumped to AEW, came back. Also, great shape. Looks the same age he did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's good. I don't like distraction finishes generally, but if you're going to do distraction, that's the way to do it. Dude's been setting up this thing for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Actually hits him with the table. You know?
And you know how Sean is over is nobody's doing the 10 thing at him. Nobody's doing his old gimmick.
Yeah. He's that's how like if you have like say like Apollo Crews, right?
Yeah.
Or Pete Dunne or whatever. If you're using the same gimmick and you've been demoted or whatever, or you're in NXT, that's kind of death, But if you're going to NXT and you have a new gimmick, and the gimmick that Shawn Spears uses is the one that he himself created for AEW, those are all his ideas, so he has every right to use it. I think it works for him. I think it's not the ideal gimmick for him, but it does make people go, hey, he's not the 10 guy. He's not Ty Dillinger.
Yeah.
Because how many people leave with one name and come back with another name?
No, I know. That's the crazy thing. I think that it is going well for him.
I think he's happy.
Yeah.
Seems happy. He had the kid. He's happily married to the iconic lady, Peyton Royce, yes. Right? It's not her real name. Cassandra is her name, right?
That's right.
Cassie.
Yeah.
Cassie. I talked to her a little bit about doing some music a while back. Nice. And I couldn't do it, but super nice, super great couple. And I just hope the best things for Shawn Spears. It's weird when you're in the position wrestling I'm in where you kind of care more about your personal relationships than you do about making money in the business.
Sure. Well, yeah.
But, because I can't. So, you just root these people on. You don't root the wrestlers on. You kind of root these people on. And Shawn Spears is someone I'm rooting on. Although, I do like the champions in place right now in NXT.
Yeah, and I think that, that's why I've always preferred NXT, and I think it works very, very well, is because it does get you invested in the personal success of these talents when they're on a smaller scale, I
don't know, though, like some of these cartoonish, over-the-top skits and characterizations, I think often prevent people from connecting with some of these wrestlers. I think when you have a genuine connection, Trick Williams, when you have a genuine connection, Obafemi, when you have a genuine connection like Sol Ruka, that kills the Chases and the D'Angelos and the early 2.0 guys that made us all turn it off in the first place.
But at the live crowd, I know the live crowd's not everything, but I will tell you that their response they were getting from those live audiences, like the fans respond. I'm not saying it works as well on TV, but they definitely got over.
I'm a big fan of letting the fans like for me, a match is great if the fans are crazy. Like I will like a match more if the fans are going nuts. Period. Yeah. But the Full Sail audience has misled the WWE before because it is a unique audience in the fact that they have a lot of repeaters. If you come back every week, you're part of it, and you try to be part of the show, you're going to cheer for an Andre Chase. You're going to cheer for a Leo Kruger or whoever,
Deep pull.
That's a deep cut right there.
You're gonna go crazy for a No Way Jose.
Dude, Leo Kruger was cool, but
which version?
He was South African bounty
Originally,
hunter.
he was the Oh, got it. So the Craven version, not the Diplomat version.
Yes, and then he went to Adam Rose. And dude, you remember how much the Full Sail crowd chanted "This is awesome" before Adam Rose wrestled. It was at his entrance. So, you can't 100% go by that particular crowd. Although a general rule is, if the crowd's hot, it works.
Yeah. It's interesting how they've led WWE astray. So, Backstage, we had Ava talking to Robert Stone and Stevie Turner. Stevie Turner somehow, like, she came into the office to talk to Ava, and now she works there somehow. And they both had ideas about what should happen for this title match.
That's how I worked with Conrad. I just showed up.
I've gotten jobs that way before.
It's like George Costanza, man. You just show up and act like you know what you're doing, and they put you on, you know?
No, I'm with you.
That's how Robert Stone got the job, for sure, you know?
Well, they both had ideas about what should be done with the title match with Ethan Page and Sean Spears. And yeah, it looks like we're getting Sean Spears versus Ethan Page versus Javon versus Trick Williams at Heatwave.
It's like everybody in the audience always knows what it's going to be before they do. They're like, I have an idea. We have 4 people, not 2, but 4 who want, what could we do? I know. Not have I been this surprised since Steven Tyler has suggested we all take the limo to the gig at Disney's Hollywood Studios. There you go. Did that really happen to you?
No, that's the Rock and Roller Coaster intro. That you're visiting Aerosmith in the studio, and then everyone needs to get to the show, and Steven Tyler says, I have an idea. Let's get a huge limo and take them all. And then Ileana Douglas reluctantly does that, and that's the roller coaster you go on.
And, you know, the Avas or the Nick Aldises of the world are the last ones to catch on. They're like, you know what we're going to do? 4-way match. And then the wrestlers also are the last ones. They're like,
oh, yeah.
One of them's like, yeah. Another one's like, oh, my God, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. Like, without even knowing it's a possibility. It's but, of course, a line delivered that well by the likes of the great thespian Ava Johnson.
Like Ava. Why are you so hard on Ava?
Is she good though? Like,
she was in a cult, Matt. She was in a cult, and now she has a seat of power. This is how cults work.
How awesome would it be if she got promoted to the Wyatts?
She probably could have.
Dude, she could be sitting in Michael Cole's lap if she wanted to.
No, I think look, NXT hasn't had a strong general manager presence in quite some time. Regal was sparing. HBK doesn't want to be on TV week in and week out. I don't know if he doesn't want to be on TV. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's being magnanimous of, I don't want to detract attention from the next generation of stars. So I think she's working well in this role. It's interesting. I'm excited. Stevie Turner, one of my favorite wrestlers, whatever it takes to see her on TV every week.
Maybe Shawn Michaels will get on TV if he, you know, if he's as selfless as my old friend Vince Russo, you know, who only got on TV because he realized it was for the good of the company, not for him, not for his ego, not because he wanted to get on TV, but because only he, with a roster full of Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Mike Awesome, could turn the fortunes around by being on TV.
And Robert Stone gets TV time.
Dude, yeah. I think they got to move him up. They got to move him up to the main roster. Like, there's got to be something he can do on there. I know he's coaching down there, but like, they obviously love him. He obviously does a good job. He obviously can do anything. It looks like they're teasing an intergender match, though, doesn't it?
It does, between him and Stevie. I mean, Stevie is good in the ring,
and Robbie sells like a mother. He's a great worker, you know.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember. When he got signed by NXT, he couldn't tell anybody, right?
Yeah.
So we did like, I don't know, maybe 4 months of shows.
Yeah.
And he did a few matches. Man, that boy was on the no bump tour like you've never seen. He was just like, I'm punching, kicking, and tagging out. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. His podcast was good. I enjoyed that.
It was my favorite podcast I ever did, was with Robbie. It was his idea.
Yeah.
You know, he heard me on a podcast and just called me and said, I got an idea. And of course, I go to my consult. I go to Conrad Thompson. I go, here's the pitch. Conrad's like, oh my God, I love it. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I needed. And we did, over a year of it, you know?
Oh yeah. I remember. Well, Matt, that's NXT for tonight.
You can tell I'm tired because we finished up in an hour, folks.
I know.
Me and Glenn are usually like an hour 20 and some Karate Kid talk. And, you know.
I know. I want to talk about what's happening for an extended period of time. Not what's actually happening, the show, what's happening.
My favorite joke that was ever on What's Happening is, Mama used to whoop Raj, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's so she's mad at Raj. So she's like, Raj, I'm going to beat you I can't find my belt. And Rerun goes, here, you can use mine. And she goes, Rerun, I want to whoop him, not hang him. Because it was a giant belt. D was the worst, though.
D was the best. D's like one of the greatest TV characters of all time.
Raj figured out D broke into his diary because there was peanut butter on it.
Yeah, she loved peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I always felt the casting of Shirley was strange because it seemed like Shirley and Rerun were brother and sister for real. You know?
Yeah, Shirley was very funny. She was a stand-up comedian before that. But, D, Danielle Spencer, passed away a few years ago.
What a shame. What a shame.
She went on to become a veterinarian.
I don't mean to, hand wave a death, but I do want to say that I think we all know that the most iconic episode of What's Happening was the Doobie Brothers episode. Yeah. Rerun jumping up and down, the giant tape recorder. Like, that's going to get any kind of good sound at all.
But I was thinking about, the other day, I was thinking about the rapper Yo-Yo, as one often does. And I was thinking about her debut track with Ice Cube, which was not You Can't Play With My Yo-Yo. It was on Ice Cube's album, and It's a Man's World. And her diss to Ice Cube is Yo-Yo says, because you're a rerun and I'm the new What's Happening. And I was like, that is a brilliant rap line on so many levels.
It's great. Do you remember who did the theme song for What's Happening?
No, who did do the theme song?
Henry Mancini.
Really?
Same guy who did the Pink Panther.
That is a funky theme song. And I have seen Shirley Hempill's show where she became the mayor or something. No, she became the CEO of a company or something like that. She was not the same characters on What's Happening. They aired it on Crackle like a year or two ago, and we made it through one episode, and we're like, this is really bad.
They did a show called What's Happening Now.
Yes, I remember.
Where I think Raj owned the shop or something.
He bought, was it Roger's place?
I think so. Roger.
Yeah, Roger.
And let me tell you, the first time you ever saw a Rerun dance, like, you're just like, oh my, he is a miracle.
Well, I mean, he was in the Breakers, the crew from Soul Train with Tony Basil, Mickey fame. He's an amazing dancer. But if you watch the stuff, and then why am I blanking on his name? Jeffrey from Shalimar, Jeffrey Daniels.
Can't help you here. Go ahead.
No, Jeffrey Daniel, who invented the moonwalk, who taught Michael Jackson the moonwalk. But Jeffrey Daniel was also a part of that dance crew. I mean, this is like the invention, Fred Rerun Berry, and I love that he added Rerun legally as his middle name. Fred Rerun Berry, Tona Basil, Jeffrey Daniel. I mean, they, in essence, invented a lot of the moves that we came just to say with breakdancing and a lot of Michael Jackson's iconic moves. He was very influenced by them.
You're going to find this hard to believe, but as a Southern Californian in the 80s, I did partake in and was good at said breakdancing.
Linoleum or cardboard? What was your preference?
Oh, cardboard. Because you put cardboard with the pants with the pinstripe down the side, some Converse, and you put up like some Space Cowboy or some Jam on it or some white lines, and you go, And we were moonwalking before we saw Michael Jackson moonwalk. Yeah. I will say that, and man, those were good times, man. It kept me in shape for real. Yeah. I could, and then when I went to a junior high school, like they were like, oh, new breakdancer in town. You know what I'm saying? Like
dance battle.
It was dance battles between white kids from the suburbs, so not that great, but it affected all of us. There's a great doc on. I just saw the first half of on Hulu about the Rocksteady crew and about all them breakdancing. Yeah, it's I forget the name of it, but it's on Hulu right now. It just came out. I watched the first minute of it or so.
Breakdancing's in the Olympics this summer.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay. Breakin' or Beat Street?
2. I was going to say Breakin' 2 is the best breakdancing movie of all time.
Because they saved the church?
They saved the community center.
It's very true. Boogaloo Shrimp and Shabadoo, who later appeared in some Janet Jackson videos and was one of her main dancers.
Yeah.
I never bought the white girl, ever. Never bought her.
Special K?
Dude, like she was just like doing like she just lifting her leg up, like doing spins, like that was something. She would have got her butt kicked. Like someone would have just knifed her, like when she started spinning in a circle with her stupid headband on. And these like are legit dancers from the street. She's like, she was terrible. She was awful.
You know what's crazy? So when Boogaloo, who by the way did the dance moves for MC Scat Cat in the Opposites Attract video, they animated over him.
Nice
footage on YouTube of him dancing with Paula. That when he did the 360 dance around the room, they used the exact same room they built for Nightmare on Elm Street for the Tina kill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen? We're gonna get off, but
please, hey, it's the end of the show, Matt.
Have you ever seen? You've seen Bo Burnham Inside?
No, I did not watch that.
Oh my god,
that was the one during the pandemic, correct?
It's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen in my life.
Very good. I've heard it's very
most brilliant thing I've ever seen. But that's his house he owns, and it's the same house they filmed Nightmare on Elm Street on.
Oh wow,
Isn't that crazy? Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, I got to tell you, you surprised me this today because I was not ready to read the news. But I think that we're good. I think I'll read it when we're us two again because I think it's going to be us for NXT, and I can't really say no. So I'll read the news, and you can do the thing, and we can build a little community here.
Yeah,
on Tuesday nights of my hate and your love.
Why do you hate NXT? It's such a good show.
It is just the worst thing. I was begging for it to be over, like just begging.
Wow.
Begging to a God I don't believe in. Please end this show. Show me a sign that you exist. Don't bring back my mother to life. End NXT. That's my priority right now.
This was fun tonight. This was a fun show. I had a good time. I am more entertained by NXT on a weekly basis than any other wrestling show because it is a show about a wrestling show.
It's true. I am digging like Raw and SmackDown these days, though. I got to be honest with you. Like
SmackDown's been, after Mania was dreadful for a few weeks.
They took it for granted. They rested.
Yeah, you can't mess up the build to Money in the Bank though. Money in the Bank is the easiest pay-per-view to build. And
I hated the idea of Cody with AJ because I thought it was an easy way out.
Yeah.
But I think it was a cool little lull now that they're going full bloodline and stuff. Yeah. I think it was the right move because you want to have dips and peaks. You don't want to just be at the top all the time. So AJ was a nice little feud, brought you into it. And now you got friggin' Jacob, the great Jacob. I was telling you, I have a couple kids that watch wrestling. I was like, guys, you don't even know what this guy can do. This guy is like, they didn't even show his coolest stuff, like he's an amazing wrestler, super cool dude. Got to hang out with him more than one occasion. Great wrestler, and he is like, he really outshined every other Samoan and Tongan on SmackDown. It was great to see him.
He should be leading the bloodline. I think he's he's got the most just it factor.
Charisma. Yeah. He's great. And he's been waiting for this moment. So when he showed up, man, what did he drop? Like 30 pounds at least?
He looks great.
He looks like fantastic, and Matthew, my son, we had a Father's Day lunch a week late, and he's like, let's see if he can keep it off, because he's Samoan, and they, like, Rikishi was skinny once, Tonga Kid was really skinny once, it's just in that blood, they get big around the waist and the backside, so, but man, that man, he's changing, he changed everything for that faction in that show, because now people are talking. He's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everybody, follow Matt Koon online at Matt Koon Music. I'm Matt Glenn Rubenstein. We will catch you back here next time for more 1970s and 80s television talk and NXT next Tuesday on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.